Hi, everybody. I'm George, and this is the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made. According to our guest, at least. And today's guest is an editor, writer, and director in Toronto whose excellent work includes the shorts Grave Concerns, Space Monkey Origins, and No Nazis in Nova Scotia, all of which I loved, as well as the upcoming Teething, which I'm very excited about. Welcome to Glen Matthews.
Yo, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with horror? Because clearly, as someone who has written and directed a horror short that I hear is headed for feature as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, so clearly this is something that must hold a place near your heart. So why don't you tell us about how you got into it, your first memories, that kind of thing?
Yeah. My relationship with horror has been, I guess you could say, a repressed one. My introduction to it, like my earliest memory was my older brother. He was watching Child's Play at our neighbor's house. And I remember I was hanging around and I knew they were watching. I had heard about, I think my brother got Fangoria or something. And so I kind of knew a little bit about Chucky and enough to be rightfully terrified. And so my brother said, he was like, well, you can only watch it if you go home, run next door and ask mom, get her permission. And so I went home, ran home, and I got there and my mom was like, what? And I was like, we're going to eat dinner over at Sheldon's. And that was all I said. Yeah. So it was like, it's like my oldest sin that I hold on to so dearly. And then the movie just like totally like, I barely watched like a literal frame. I just remember like the sounds terrified me so much. I literally sat in that room through like peaked eyes, like just so friggin' terrified.
It's so fascinating to me that I don't know if it's just because like, we're in the perfect age to like that have been everyone's older brother's movie watching taste, but like I swear to God, Child's Play has been the number one movie that comes up when people talk about getting scared off of horror as a
way.
kid. Yeah, it's come up at least 4 times on this show. It's really
That's
remarkable.
So cool. Well, it's like everybody says, and I'm also, Jaws scared me away from the ocean, and I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in Nova Scotia, and it's like, I don't go in the ocean because of Jaws. But yeah, it was like there was something, at least, I can't remember about the marketing of Chucky, but I feel like there was just something.
It was in the air.
Oh, it felt dangerous, and it was in the and I think the title also, Child's Play, there's something about that I think like maybe like got kids to lean into a little bit more. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's I respect it.
Yeah, Don, you did a great job out there, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you have a favorite subgenre of horror, and I always also like to ask creatives if that changes depending on if you're making it or just watching, because based on Teething and your pick today, it seems like you might have an affection for vampires, so I was really curious.
Yeah. I mean, my God, I really have gone through phases, but I always do return to the vampire. I was a big, as I said, I was really scared of scary films growing up. So what's it called? Buffy was a real kind of gateway for me to kind of start engaging in kind of the monsters and ghouls and stuff. And Buffy was a big one for me.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask about your general taste for mockumentaries, because based on your work that No Nazis in Nova Scotia, it seems like you did the same sort of thing where you take the framework that people are used to and you subvert it in a way that lets you achieve the goal, whether that goal is comedy or raising awareness about shitheads.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's a commitment to the bit, I guess you could say. In terms of mockumentaries, my God, I mean, Christopher Guest, I think, was always really like, I definitely really loved his films. What other? Oh, well, a big one for me, and I'm interested to hear if you've heard about it, because it's a Canadian film, is Fubar. Did you ever see Fubar?
No, I haven't.
It's a Michael Dowse film, I believe. maybe 2010, I don't know. But it's just about two hosers in Alberta just living their lives as metalheads. And it when it first came out, it was a question of whether or not it was real or not. It kind of had a similar element to the Blair Witch marketing early on. You know? Like it was that was probably the high point in terms of mockumentaries before I had seen this one. This one just,
This one, I think that it's really interesting that horror doesn't necessarily do, like, it feels so disparate from a mockumentary, or from, like, the documentary style, just because there's so much sort of suspension of disbelief required to engage in most horror stories that by the time you've engaged with the horror aspects of it, you're not really ready to engage on like a documentary realism kind of thing as well. So I think it's really interesting when movies are able to sort of get past that. I think that What We Do in the Shadows does that, and I think to an extent Blair Witch does, although obviously it's not going for comedy. It does utilize that realism. And Man Bites Dog, I think, is another
oh my god
example.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
that was a good one. Yeah.
And it does have to sort of, it has to create that, well, is this real kind of thing in order to be effective, or at least like you say, commit to the bit enough that it seems like they at least think it's real.
Yeah. It's I wasn't expecting to talk about these comedies, but it's like it's the same thing. You know, you could go over to Borat as well. You know,
definitely.
like there's these swirling little the circles in which what am I trying to say? That these things, that as they're doing these improvisations, it's there's a commitment to the bit that's going on that I find so. I don't know. It swept me up with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one that we're talking about today is What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yes.
Co-written by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, who also directed it, and has gone on to become both a critically and commercially successful writer-director with The Hunt for the Wilder People, Thor Ragnarok, and the Academy Award-winning Jojo Rabbit, also achieving success as an actor in his own work, and The Mandalorian. Quite the resume for old Taika there.
It's crazy. It was really cool because in prep for this, I kind of went back. I was just like, oh, there's a lot of cool interviews with them at like film festivals and stuff like that. And there's one that I watched today where he's just talking about, he's like, somebody asked him, they're like, oh, what movie would you like to make if you could make any movie? And he just like, it's at a point, he's so far away from it that he just like openly says Akira. And now it looks like he's doing friggin' Akira. Yeah, it was just like at some random film festival.
I love when they like had their eye on the prize like that. I love, like, when I watch the Alien commentary, I don't like Prometheus. I don't like Alien Covenant. A lot of those later movies are just not my bag. But in the like 1995 commentary on Alien, he's like, here's the sequel that I want to make to Alien, and he basically lays out Prometheus. And I was like, holy crap! Like, as much as I don't like the movie, I at least respect it a lot more because there's so much of like that creative vision and someone really feeling like they can bring something to it that I think is really impressive. And so that, you know,
so did he sell you on it though? Did that pitch of Prometheus, were you like, oh, that version sounds great?
I was at least I'll say that I was not quite as harsh on it anymore.
Okay, cool, great.
But yeah, I think that's really cool that Taika Waititi also has that passion for his projects, clearly, because I mean this movie started as a short, What We Do in the Shadows interview with some vampires, and it, like, you know, they worked for years and years and years to write it and you know, make sure that it was perfect, and getting it released in the US was a whole other thing because it needed a Kickstarter after only getting released in other regions. It's incredible how much work they put into it, though. 125 hours of footage were shot for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. The process of editing that down to this 90-minute movie that we got, because it's a pretty short movie.
Oh, it's 85.
Yeah. So
what a freeing feeling to look at a runtime and see not even 90. It's like, oh my God, let's
you're
go.
preaching to the choir here.
Oh, yeah.
It took them a full year to edit all that footage down to this 85-minute movie. And cool. I mean, I can't even imagine. They could have made like a dozen movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I can't imagine some of the things that they had to leave on the floor.
Yeah.
But God bless them for doing it. There's no reason for that to be a Judd Apatow length, like.
Definitely. And I think also because it is a looser movie.
Yeah.
I think that it's the perfect length, but it would be very easy for it to overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
And so better to keep it too short than to go on too long. Oh my
God. When I rewatched it this time, when the scene comes that you realize that the film is that's the thing that I love, is that on the rewatch, you realize you're at the end when he's talking about finally turning the love of his life.
Right.
And they have this beautiful, sweet ending that is so, and the way that they shoot it with the two windows where he does the big dramatic vampire gesture and then he crosses over. There's something. This film sent me down a deep rabbit hole for Taika Waititi's films because I just never really saw, like, I've never seen anything like this film. And then just, like, there's something in seeing all of his films. The only one you didn't mention that I love that I want to give props to is Boy.
Right. That was the only one before this, I believe.
No, there was Eagle versus Shark. Which,
right.
Yeah. Well, I've yet to make a first feature, so I shall hold my tongue. I don't know what I was trying to say there.
No,
before I made a disparaging remark. Oh my God, that's right. Yeah, well, Boy was the one that just, like, there's a consistent sweetness to his films that I feel like really, it balances a really delicate line without ever getting, I don't know what the word would be, without getting...
Saccharine,
sure, yeah.
It's not distastefully sweet. You're like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. It's I like being surprised by sweetness, and that's the kind of stuff that makes your heart swell unexpectedly, Yep. And I think this film has so goddamn much of it, and I love it for that reason. I think, well, a bunch of reasons.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree that is in large supply in this movie, but it. Like I said, was based on this 2005 short film. It featured pretty much everyone here in the same roles, which I thought was interesting, that they had everyone on board. Taika Waititi as Viago, Jermaine Clement as Vladislav, Johnny Brew as Deacon, and Stu Rutherford as Stu. I mean,
Stu.
Stu's great. He rules. I love him in this. I was reading that they
Yes.
They didn't tell him that he was going to be so important to the movie. So he's like, he didn't realize until he was watching it at the premiere that they had used so much of his footage and really like woven him in. Like, imagine being Stu at that moment.
That's well, it doesn't surprise me because it's such a, I don't know, it's such a, he's like oddly comes out of nowhere. Like it's probably not until like halfway through that he's introduced.
Yeah.
But he just becomes like the anchor of the second half of the film. I find, like it's like, and it's so you can tell he's not an actor.
It's a reverse psycho.
Perfect. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Sick.
And so that premiere that Stu realized it at was the premiere at Sundance in January of 2014.
Oh, wow.
And it released in August of 2014, where it earned $6.9 million on a budget of $1.6 million, and then got brought to the limited release in the U.S. thanks to, like I said, that successful Kickstarter. Critical reception was positive. There was a lot of Christopher Guest comparison, which I suppose is relatively inevitable based on his domination of the mockumentary space. Like, he is like the name.
But it's like, you're casting. It's like, that's not a large enough net for this film. It's like you could throw in terms of marketing. It's like, my God, this thing. You said, how did it do? What did it do? Box office?
So it made $6.9 million on a budget of 1.6.
Cool.
Yeah, we love a success. We love a success.
Yeah, that's a plus. That's a winner. That's a winner. I saw my story in terms of first time seeing it was really cool because they played it. It was one of the first. Well, it definitely wouldn't have been ahead of. I think it was only a couple months after Sundance in Halifax at the Outlier Film Festival, and they programmed it. And a friend of mine was just like, "Hey, there's a vampire mockumentary from the guys who did Flight of the Conchords." And I was
How do you say no to that?
Well, I was just like, I was like, sure, that sounds like a fun thing to go see at this black box theater in Halifax, and
wow.
it was literally the best like theater going experience I've ever had because like place just the place just like ate it up. But it was like, when I say the place, it was like 30 people jammed in, but it was a really community twisted celebration of blood and vampires and all that's good.
That's awesome. And this really is like the perfect kind of movie to have that sort of community feeling. It's because, horror movies are classically a community like screening sort of thing, comedies as well. And that sort of feeling of it, like being able to catch the references together and laughing at the jokes, it's really perfect for it.
That's the thing with vampires too. It's like they're so ubiquitous, in culture. It's like, I could ask my dad and he could probably give me like 5 different vampire rules. You don't know I know no one knows my father, but he's not a cinephile, I can assure you.
Well, we'll take your word on that. Although, if he ever wants to come on and defend himself, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, he one time he turned me on to Blue Velvet, and
I love that movie.
When I watched that, holy crap! I was like, wow, Paul's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Paul, you son of a gun, you did it again.
Yes. Oh God, sorry.
No. And
more Paul talk.
This is now a Paul review show.
Yeah. Yes.
But to get into the actual movie, we've got now this context.
Yep.
It opens up on some text explaining that there's a secret society in New Zealand that meets for the unholy masquerade, and that the documentary crew got access to a small group within that society. Doesn't say anything about vampires. Which I really like, because the first actual shot is the alarm clock hitting 6 and going off, and then a hand just snaking out of the coffin to turn it off and slithering back in. It's so funny. It's so great at establishing exactly what's going to be happening and the tone in literally one motion. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I think that's why, to go back to the Christopher Guest comparisons, it's like, I do love Christopher Guest, but I just think this film engages the audience cinematically in ways way more actively than Christopher Guest is like, and they're two different things, but Christopher Guest is just kind of more about turning the camera on them, letting them figure it out, whereas What We Do in the Shadows has so many friggin' magic tricks all throughout. It's so
absolutely
cool.
I mean, so my favorite Christopher Guest movie is probably A Mighty Wind. And
cool.
So much of that movie is just like, okay, they're on stage doing the performance. Like that, it's not, there's no like fun camera movements or anything. And that's part of what makes it so great, because it feels very like documentary. It creates that naturalistic style. But
feels very PBS.
Exactly.
In a great way.
For what this is going for, that's not really the appropriate style. And I think that Taika understands that. He knows how to kind of break out and make it his own. And the fact that he is able to do that from such an early point, I mean, literally as early a point in the movie as is possible, just speaks to his talent.
Yeah. It's like there's something, if you just watch him when he acts, he friggin' like he's got. I've been picturing Chaplin more and more. I'm a big Chaplin fan, but just watching the expressions that he's able to make.
Yeah.
As darn it, what's his name? Is it Iago?
Viago.
I really love. I mean, my God, but yeah, him this getting out of the coffin.
Yeah, he looks so pleased with himself.
Oh my God. And it's like him pretending, you know, like he's just like, oh my God, I'm on camera. Like there's such a sheepish, he's so like, it's back to the sweetness. It's the vulnerability, I guess, of just how nervous he is and how much he cares to introduce the camera crew to this world.
He has that sheepishness, but at the same time, there's almost like he's almost unself-aware of like how dorky he is coming off.
Yeah, because he's a dandy.
Yeah. It's really great. That balance that they strike is remarkable.
I'm such a. It's so weird, and I don't know because I was an actor for 10 years, and then now I've been a filmmaker for just focusing on that for 5 years. And in my history of watching films, I've been trying to like get less in the critical mind. There was a period where I would always watch very critically, and if there was a joke that didn't land, I would always like, my brain would always just like nail a signpost into the ground and be like, I remember this joke, and like I always like would just like, I'd be like, oh man, if there would be like 3 jokes that were just like total duds, I'd be like, I would start to like, and I know with this movie, not even the cynical part of my brain that drives those posts in could find really anything.
Yeah.
That offended me. You know, my
right. Sure, there are shades of how effective the jokes are at landing, but it's all definitely on the positive side at least.
Oh my God. It's like of movies that don't have Leslie Nielsen, I don't know what would have a higher laugh rate.
Yeah. Good question. Folks out there, what's your number one laughs per minute movie?
It's got to be one of those, either Airplane or Naked Gun, right?
Yeah,
laughs per minute.
They really pack them in there in those in those movies. So
I will say though that I while we're on the topic of vampires though, the Dracula Dead and Loving It, that's one that I found. Yeah, but I've tried a couple times within the last like 5 years to watch it, and I always fall off. I'm just like,
oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it gets better after the 20-minute mark, but I just can't. Anyways,
hey,
here I am again.
It doesn't connect.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't sink your teeth in.
Oh my God. There's been so many wonderful puns, and it's the sad thing is that I always feel the need to write them down because you're always thinking of dumb ways you're trying to market your film, you know?
Right. But so this is the documentary crew is going to follow these 4 vampire roommates, Viago, Vladislav, Deacon, and Peter, who share a flat in the Wellington suburb of Tearo, and they all represent different eras of vampires. You've got your Lost Boys Schumacher with Deacon, your interview with a vampire, dandy vampire, as you say, with Viago, your Nosferatu type Count Orlok Peter, and your classic Dracula with Vladislav. And so I'm curious, what's your favorite vampire era?
My favorite vampire film is Let the Right One In. Yeah, that was the one that like, I don't know, that was kind of like around a point where I was getting a little braver in terms of, it sounds so stupid, but I was kind of seeking out genre film and stuff that kind of, I don't know, that just kind of thread the needle between human drama and the blood and guts.
Right.
That was something that I was specifically looking for at that time. And I know that there's a conversation going on right now in terms of, I'm not one of those filmmakers who proudly says, I didn't watch genre, or I didn't watch scary films, or I think I'm in
Above
any
it.
way. Yeah. And I also feel weird about the elevated horror. That title, it's there's a lot of weird things going on, but there's a lot of good movies being made.
Yeah.
Which I count this as one of them in terms of, I'd count this as like a contemporary film.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned Let the Right One In, because although it's not one of the sort of four types that we focus on here, we do see these like young girl vampires later on that definitely feels like sort of an homage to Let the Right One In. Which
Absolutely. What do they say? He's like, "Are you killing some perverts tonight?" Yeah. It's like, yep. They just say, "Cool." See ya.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Man, I think that my favorite era is probably like the Deacon types. I love Fright Night, really. And
oh my God.
It's really great. I love
that
Lost
poster.
Boys is great.
Dude, the poster for Fright Night, again,
So
another
good.
Well, that alone, I never saw the film, but I had nightmares about that woman for like, oh my God.
I believe it.
Yeah. I would be, anytime I had a dream, she would just come running out of the woods at me with that crazy face.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
It's scary stuff. And it's a damn good movie. Although I will say that I think that my favorite vampire movie is probably Nosferatu 79, the Werner or the Klaus Kinski one.
Cool. Love it. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. That's the movie that made me think that maybe Klaus Kinski didn't really exist and he was just a waking nightmare that I have.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, it's great. I love that they don't go over the top with being like, do you get it? Do you understand that these are each the different types of vampires? Like they all have their thing, and then they just kind of let that play out in a way that feels natural. It doesn't feel forced at all for them to just be like, all right, we need to get them to do their thing. So
yeah. Well, they do so much of another one of the things that I love with this film that is featured early on is the friggin' detail that they put into the art. Like and the production design in general, like the vintage photography set to that friggin' song, like it's all.
And then like some of the footage repeats, like you're like, oh man, this is perfect mockumentary.
Yeah. There's a lot of different elements like throughout that back to that they just like, I don't know, man. From every angle, I'm just like, when I rewatched it, I was just like, wow, slow clap.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. This thing rules.
And so Viago wakes everyone up for a flat meeting about how Deacon isn't doing his chores. And this is intercut with some background. And I absolutely lose it when Deacon is telling this dramatic story about a beast hovering above him and forcing him to suck its foul blood, and then going, and that was Peter. We're still friends today. I just lose it. It's so
think
funny.
And that's I could be wrong, but I think that's the one point that like Peter nods and like has like this kind of casual cadence. It's the one point where he's not like this scary monster.
Yeah. And it's so great. It's perfect the way that they get this really strong joke in right away. It gets you laughing really hard right away. It's great. Another scene that makes me laugh is Deacon talking about the only thing people liked less than a Nazi was Nazi vampires, which that checks out.
Yeah, we forgot about that when we were rewatching it. We were like, oh yeah, he's a Nazi.
Yeah, he sure is. He's the Nazi vampire. Viago is a 379-year-old dandy from the 18th century who originally traveled to New Zealand in the 1910s in pursuit of the love of his life, Catherine. Taika said that he actually based this performance on his mother, which I thought was very funny.
Wow, cool.
Vlad is an 862-year-old known as Vladislav the Poker, played by Jermaine Clement. And this is very clearly based on Vlad the Impaler. And Deacon, like I said, is a 183-year-old, so he's the youngest, a former street peddler, and the young rebel of the group who was turned into a vampire by Peter, a reclusive 8,000-year-old vampire who behaves more like a feral animal. Peter, who was played by Ben Francham, was originally supposed to be like basically personality-less, like not even be in as much of the movie as he is, but the makeup was so expensive that they were like, we need to shoot more footage of this makeup just to make it worth it. And it's crazy how little decisions like that can really help to make a movie as great as it is, like this one.
A perfect peppering of Peter.
And Viago, Vladislav, and Deacon take the bus into town, and we see them like looking to party. They're demanding to be invited in due to vampire rules, which cracks me up.
Oh man, it's beautiful. I've never loved that rule. That's one of my rules that I'm always like, okay, how?
Yeah, it feels either too powerful or pointless if you're like, they can hypnotize you to make you invite them in. It's like, all right, the two are...
It just feels like a writer being like, oh, well, I gotta make sure that he can't, like, the whole, it's like, I gotta handicap these friggin' vampires somehow.
He wrote himself into a corner, and he needed a way out.
They need to be invited. but
unfortunately
it worked here.
Yeah, and they're not invited, in fact, and they wind up at a vampire-run club. And it's the hottest night spot for vampires, and when they go in, it's completely dead, which I don't know if that's intended as a visual pun, but it works because it's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And
Blade wouldn't even bother.
He certainly wouldn't. Oh man, maybe that's actually my favorite vampire movie.
Oh, Blade 2 or Blade 1?
So I just rewatched Blade 2, and I love it a lot, but I think I like Blade 1 better because...
It's a little tighter?
It's a little tighter. There's too many characters in 2, and it takes away from my Blade time.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while since I watched 2, but I feel like they kind of screw up Christopherson in it, don't they? Like his usage, is he not? I can't remember how it goes.
They don't use him. Yeah, they don't use him too much because they have to let the guy from Walking Dead, whose name is escaping me,
Reedus.
Norman.
Right.
They have to like get Norman Reedus ingratiated into the plot, and then they just spoiler alert, they just kill Norman Reedus.
Weird.
You spent all that time getting to know him instead of Chris Christopherson, and you're like, what the hell? Just put Chris in.
Yeah, give me Whistler. Whistler.
But I digress. And
we must.
Deacon meets his human familiar there, who's Jackie, played by Jackie Van Beek, and she's also really great. She sort of acts as the straight person in this movie, someone to play against, and she really just does a spectacular job.
She's so great. You're just pulling for her so bad. You just want her to get turned. She's putting up with so much bullshit.
She sure is, yeah.
I love Jackie.
She has to run a bunch of errands for the vampires, including picking up virgins to feed on and cleaning up the gore and everything. And she's a married mother, but she's like, I am at my peak right now. I want to attain immortality. And she's frustrated because Deacon won't actually turn her into a vampire. Come on, Deacon. Not cool, man.
I think there's so many ways in which this film, like, cleverly plays with the rules of vampires, and I think that's absolutely one of them. Like, one of the small details is her saying she's at her peak, and, like, it's like, and just her, I don't know, there's so many angles in this whole thing where I was like, that's just, you really thought in that.
Yeah, and I like that they also kind of play off this again with the mirror image of it when Taika Waititi is on the like Skype call with his old servant who was like, you promised you were going to turn me into a vampire, and now I'm old.
Yeah, he just hangs up. It's amazing, and it's like there is... fast forwarding a bit, like when Deacon kind of sums up the whole story, and he's saying how it's like life is sad, and like there's ridiculousness, but there is comedy, but there is pathos underneath all this silliness.
Yeah.
There's legitimate pathos. I love it.
I think that Jackie really gets to do a lot of it as well, because like we see her, like the people that she lures in are like a woman who insulted her in primary school and her ex-boyfriend Nick.
Yeah.
So like that sort of like vindictive, like how would you, if you were having to lure people in, how would you use
my
it?
God. Yeah, and they dated when they were 12.
Yeah. That's why she thinks he's a virgin.
Exactly. In spite of his neck tattoo.
Right. Oh, man. That's a neck tattoo that screams, I have definitely had sex.
Yeah.
But Nick is played by Corey Gonzalez McCower, who is also great. And it's revealed, like we say, that neither one of them is in fact virgins, to the vampire's chagrin, because as Vlad says, if you're going to eat a sandwich, you just prefer knowing nobody has fucked it.
Yes. I literally stood up in the theater at that screening that I was telling you about when that line happened. Like I literally stood up and put my hands up like it was like a Jesus moment. Because it's just like, wow. And
right.
Again, it's
he's
like,
fucking right.
Oh my God. It's just like, there's no, I can never again think of like a vampire's fixation on virgins without thinking the reason being, wow, you would want to eat something that someone fucked. It's, boy, oh boy. I don't know if I would love to know if they thought that up on the fly or if that was written, because that's
it's great. It really is.
It's an all-timer.
There's another great joke right away, another great bit where they do the Lost Boys rice to maggots trick, but with a twist. They do spaghetti or buschetti. It's the worst.
Buschetti. What, Nick? Yeah. Jeez,
don't you like buschetti?
It's crazy that it's like you and me right now having this podcast conversation are running an extremely fine line doing the vampire voice. We run an extreme danger of doing it improperly. And I'm saying that only to say, I have a note saying the vocal quality of each of them, like each of the different like vampire voices, like what's the one I wrote down? One of the quotes where okay. So when when Taika's telling them to like maybe put down towels, and Vladislav says, "We're vampires, we don't put down towels." And there's something about like his like he would all throughout the film. He would lean into these vampirisms in the most wonderful, free way that like you could only really get away with like in a film that you're directing and starring in. It feels like, but it's perfect.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And Nick is upset by this trick, and he goes to leave. And the woman is killed for food, and Nick is attacked by Deacon as a bat, and Vlad as a Vlad-faced cat, which, God, so first of all, they set this up perfectly, where they say he can never get the faces right.
Yeah.
And when it pans over and you see him there, and it makes the actual cat noises. It's just delightful. I rewound 3 times to rewatch that one shot.
Oh man! Oh, and whatever they're doing with the music at that point, whatever,
it's great. The score is so good in this.
What is that instrument?
I don't know.
What
Maybe
is
like
going
the mandolin
on?
that they're getting in there. I don't know, but
yeah.
It's great, and Plan 9 is who did the score, and I wrote down like 3 times that this score is friggin' great. So
it really is. Like even in the sad moments, the music is incredibly sad and incredibly, but it like again, it's like all these different things. I feel like they just friggin' fit so perfectly. I do.
Yeah. And Nick is going through this hellish hallway, being attacked by Vlad and the bat, and Peter gets him as he escapes, and he turns him into another vampire. And we get a nice little jump in time here, where we're 2 months later now.
Mm-hmm.
And
sexy dance.
That's right. He's doing
Deacon's sexy dance.
It's delightful
for his friends.
Yeah, and Nick comes in, and the vampires sort of accept Nick into their group, although Deacon in particular doesn't seem to like him much. And Nick also represents one of these sort of vampire eras, and he represents the modern vampire, all sullen and Gerard Way jackets and skinny jeans and everything. And I think it's really interesting to read this on a meta level and be like, the similarities between the 80s vampires and the modern vampires of like Twilight and stuff. And, there's a lot of similarities. And when Deacon is complaining later about how he's like wearing like a very similar jacket to him. And
God, yeah.
There's so much of it, like the text being able to be read on a more meta level, but also working, like it doesn't feel forced in either.
Yeah, you're saying it's like a generational shift. It's kind of like the two generations bumping in. Totally. I love that. Damn, hell yeah. I agree. The whole stuff with the coat, the way that's introduced, and the way I wonder if that was something that they found in improvisation. But it's such the way that they set that up, and then the way that they deliver on it with the bat fight.
Yep. Oh man, that's great. And I love the way that Nick interacts with them. He wants very much to be liked. And he's like, all right, I lost my family, but now I have this new family. He literally says that. And he manages to get them into an actual club, and they meet his friend Stu, who works in computers and stuff. And the other vampires are just like delighted. This is the sort of tipping point of allowing.
He's the coolest guy.
Yeah, exactly.
The coolest guy. He's so helpful. Sets up I can't, like, all the stuff, all watching them learning to use the internet is like, I don't know, man. This film took me on such a journey that I was not prepared for.
I love how Stu takes everything in stride, including the reveal that Nick is a vampire. That moment where he sits him down and he's like, maybe you noticed that I've been changing. It's handled so well,
dude. Well, that's the thing that's so beautiful about this film is that, like, there's something so damn true about the performances. They catch something really true about, like, men and vulnerability, but also at the same time, reality television, because there's a camera with a light. But it's all like, it rings so true, and the music's all like heartfelt, but it's all working because Stu is
his understated performance really helps to anchor things. He really does.
Yeah, my heart again. It swells.
On the way back to the house, they get into a scuffle with some werewolves, but not swearwolves, led by Rhys Darby. No. And boy, this group is just so great. They're only in the movie for a short amount of time total. Yeah. There's this and then a later scene, or two later scenes, but they are such a fun, integral part of, like, creating some external conflict for them to butt up against, while still retaining that sort of charming nature that we've established and worked really hard to establish.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Very grounded. So damn grounded. It's like, this is what a group of werewolves, they go chain themselves in the woods. And when he starts yelling at the guy for, what was he wearing, like denim or something? He's like, you're going to split right through those.
Where's your tracksuit? Where's your tracksuit?
Rhys, I mean, that's another fun thing. I saw a bit of Flight of the Conchords, and everything that I saw I really loved, but I never dove in. Yeah. But diving into Taika's films, getting to see all the Rhys Darby things, oh my God.
He's a real delight, that Rhys Darby guy.
Yeah, he can go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess he's pretty restrained here, but it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, he's just 100% awesome.
Yeah, he's rising exactly to the level that the film needs, which I think is important. The fact that's what makes him such a good comedian is because he doesn't only have the one level, you know?
Yeah. Because what was it? Wilder People, when he was like doing the crazy Wilderbush guy, like that was like 10 out of 10, like going for it, and it worked. And
Definitely.
This is so understated, and it's a friggin' home run as well.
Yeah, and then somewhere in the middle is the Jumanji movies, the new Jumanji movies. That's his 5.
Yeah. I'm sure he has fun just going up there and just saying that shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you say, Stu sort of endears himself to the group by teaching them to use modern technology. Viago uses the internet to both reconnect with his old servant, like I said, and to find where Catherine is. She is now a 96-year-old widow living in a retirement home in Wellington. And you just see him pining outside her window. And you're like, oh, man, this is like so cute that he's still he's still in love with her. He talks about the like history of their relationship and like how he clearly doesn't care about the fact that she's aged. It's just very sweet. Like you said, it has that sweetness to it. I think that this sort of B plot really helps to deliver on that. I mean, it's like, you're right. Like it's the B plot, and then it just becomes, well, I guess, I don't know. It's the point. I will not lie. I was like, I started like crying in that screening because, like I said, it was such a beautiful screening. And then I was like, oh my God, they're wrapping up the movie. This is like the most beautiful movie. And then I like started tearing at that beautiful moment where they're together. And I'm like, and then when he says the thing, I'm skipping ahead again about like not caring if people call him a cradle robber and all that stuff. It's like, I was just like bursting out laughing. Like I couldn't believe that that a film had gotten this far without my dumb, cynical brain that I hate slamming in one of those dumb signposts. I was like, oh, wow, this was a no hitter. And it's great that they managed to leave on that high note. Like it would be very easy for you to leave on that sort of like, oh, that was sweet. I guess that's nice. But they are a comedy first and foremost, and they really hit you with those jokes right at the end. They leave you laughing instead of crying.
And again, but it's like, it keeps going, and it's because what comes. Am I skipping ahead? Where are we? I am skipping ahead because we didn't do the fall.
Yeah, we'll get to the rest. Nick is carelessly revealing his vampirism to strangers. One of
Twilight. Twilight. I love Nick.
It's so funny, and one of them is a vampire hunter. And this talk race, like, God, no, you're not.
I am. Yeah. Again, another pitch perfect performance that you're like, that's probably just a guy who, like, he literally said that to, and then the guy responded, and they just happened to get it on mic. But then it's like, oh, he's the dead guy in the basement. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and I love this fight scene that you're talking about, where it pays off about the jackets, where Deacon and Nick are fighting, and they're like, first it starts off about the revealing his vampirism, but clearly Deacon has other issues on his mind, and this like bat fight that they have where then like Deacon like turns back into the vampire and throws Nick at the garbage wall. It looks good.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many things in this friggin' film, special effects wise, that look incredible, and that throw is like, And then to make matters even better, isn't it his jacket is ripped from that throw? Like, my God. Hell yeah.
It's great. And this is followed up by another really funny scene where they're at a diner and Nick eats one of Stu's fries and Vlad is just like, oh no, I wouldn't eat that. And it just hard cuts to Nick just projectiling blood all over an alleyway. And I don't know why it's so funny to me that they play music. El Condor Pasa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So what is this song? Because you've
It's-
said the name. So
yes.
what is this? Give me some
It's
context, because it's a
Simon
beautiful...
and Garfunkel. It's
Wow.
It's El Condor Pasa parentheses. I think the parentheses is like I wish I was, or no, if I were, something like that. The name of the song is El Condor Pasa, and it's amazing, and it's a great song. And hearing this instrumental version of it play over him puking up blood just hit me so perfectly. It's so funny to me.
Well, it played without the context for me. Just the emotional chords there's something about it that was, I don't know, the image, the music of it felt like it was trying to be to present an inspirational, something inspirational. And it was very much, well, it was a spectacle.
It sure was. Boy, it's a great scene. And the vampire hunter breaks into the flat during the day. He breaks into the basement, and he kills Peter by exposing him to sunlight, ripped to a real one. Now, I wanted to, again, sort of look at this from a meta aspect. Do you think that this style of vampire is dead? Because I don't know if an audience would still accept a vampire that looks like that. Because I look at like the Invisible Man movie that just came out, and there was a moment while I was watching that movie where it kind of sank into me that I was like, I don't think that people would see a movie about a guy who drinks a potion and goes nuts. Like it had to be like a technology thing for the Invisible Man. It couldn't just it couldn't be the like classic thing. And so I'm curious if you think that people would still react in a positive way to that sort of like grotesque vampire instead of the like suave, sexy vampire that's so proliferated in our modern culture.
You're saying, do you think the audiences would accept the Nosferatu style wear?
Just like in general, yeah. Like, do you think that a movie that was in that classic style of these like long, lingering German expressionist style things, would that be a success for today's audiences? I'm not sure.
Who knows? I mean, sorry, that's such a lazy answer. What did they? I can't remember. Is it my brain? All that stuff, like, over the last, like, 3 years with the Universal Dark Universe, my brain doesn't know what they actually made versus what wasn't made. So, like, I have all these, like, I don't know. I think they could do it right, but also at the same time, I don't know.
They tucked in Dracula Untold into the Universal Dark Universe. So
they actually did. That was a movie that they made. You're telling me?
Yeah. So they grandfathered it in. It like came out, and then they were like,
"Who was in?" Tom Cruise wasn't in this one, right?
No. Oh man. Okay. This it was made by a director that has never. I'm just gonna say it. Never made anything good.
Oh no. Okay.
This actor who is escaping me. Let's see. Dracula.
Weird.
Untold.
Was it a wide release?
Yeah.
God. We used to release so much. And now there's nothing.
Luke Evans is the director. He's the actor. And Gary Shore is the director. And I'm sorry, Gary. Maybe that was harsh of me. But for God's sake, you had Dominic Cooper and Charles Dance, and you wasted them.
Oh, Charles Dance. Yeah, do something with Charles. Somebody do. Yeah. God, I don't know. I only just for the first time watched the friggin' Dracula with Oldman like a year ago. And I understand why it wasn't although it didn't it drum up a bunch of interest?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong? Okay.
No,
okay.
it did.
Okay. My God, visually, some of the stuff was so cool. And, like, my brain just was broken by Keanu and Winona. Their dynamic was so weird. I loved it.
It's a weird one. His wooden style doesn't quite work in that. Although I love Keanu. So I think that he's great in a lot of stuff. That isn't maybe one of them.
Oh, it was such a bold move on their part to try and slot him in there.
I have to respect them for it, but I still also can be honest.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Basically, to wrap that little digression up, I think that I don't think that audiences would really accept that anymore.
I don't think they're hungry for it.
Yeah.
I don't think that like when the Dracula or Nosferatu story wherein an element of it is that Dracula is a real estate magnate. Like, as much as I hate developers and what they've done to modern cities, I'll speak for Toronto. I don't know what's going on in Philly.
No, it's not great here either.
Yeah, I can imagine. They do the same thing. I'm not. That's always been something. I don't know. I'm not tied to the story. I love vampires. I love the clay shape that is a vampire story that can be thrown around and manipulated.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I wish would come back into style from vampires. Bring back the armadillos. They were classically in the 1930s Dracula. There was an armadillo on his stairs. And
what? Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. Yes.
And I think that armadillos should make a comeback in vampire stories.
I mean, I totally agree. Do you know why? I totally forgot about this, and I remember being like, that's an armadillo. I have no idea why. Do you know why?
They just wanted it to be like a weird creature that people would be like, oh, what's that? And they landed on an armadillo because they could get their hands on it. And
oh man,
boy, I think it
must have been so cool to make movies in the 30s.
What do we got?
Yeah. I would be inserting so many weird animals.
But yeah, so future vampire story creators out there, put armadillos.
Friggin' noted.
Perfect. This was my plan all along. But the vampires are furious when they discover that Nick has indirectly caused Peter's death, and Deacon tries to kill Nick. And this was one of the times when I noted that the score that plays during this is really great, when he's like fighting him as they're flying up the stairs.
Yeah.
But they're interrupted by some... Sorry.
Well, sorry. No, that I just want to say briefly again, the commitment to the execution of the friggin' joke. They build an Inception hallway, and they have a friggin' Inception fight. Like, my God,
it rules.
Anyways,
it really.
I just wanted a moment for the lo-fi Inception.
Hell yeah. Shout out to that hallway. And they're interrupted by some police officers whom Viago hypnotizes. And they do a bunch of fun fake outs with this, like almost noticing a body or something and then just pointing out a fire hazard. If you like this, check out Wellington Paranormal, which features these same cops doing more of it. So,
have you watched it?
I haven't. I heard it's fun,
Cool.
but it gets a little repetitive, which I can understand. But
I still haven't dived into the What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
Nor I.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I hear it's great, though.
That's all I hear.
Yeah, they just got renewed for their third season, I believe. So
Cool.
People are enjoying it, which is great to hear. And I definitely want to check it out. But it's hard. There's so much movies. How do I have time for TV?
I know. I'm not much of a TV guy. I love Succession, and that's like kind of like the only thing of TV I've watched over the last like year.
I can relate. Once the police leave, they have the trial of Nick. Great visual gag here where they reflect their paintings on the wall. It's so funny. And Nick is banished from the flat after some more meta commentary about how the new vampires need to find their own style and stop wearing the same jacket as the 80s one. But Stu is still permitted to come as he pleases, which is such a great touch when they're like walking out sullenly and Viago is like, bye, Stu.
Yeah, they can't keep that facade with Stu. There's no way. We can't be angry with Stu.
No, definitely not. And it cuts again, this time another several months later, and the vampires have received an invitation to the annual Unholy Masquerade, hosted for the local undead population of vampires, zombies, and witches, interestingly, who I would not have necessarily pegged as undead, but I guess it counts.
I think it's cool. I think they're super progressive.
Yeah, I love a witch.
Yes, exactly.
And Vladislav refuses to come. He says he's not going to go because he learns that the beast, will be a guest of honor. And I think it's so funny when we don't get this reveal immediately in the movie, but when they tell us that the beast is his ex-girlfriend, Pauline, I just laugh so hard. It's such a great reveal.
Yeah.
Because it's been building up for the whole movie. Like, even in his background, they talk about how he was defeated by the beast. And the beast is why he can't get the faces right, because the beast defeated him. Yeah.
The artwork that they show for the beast is, like, horrifying. It's like the Babadook. You know?
Yeah.
It really does build it up. But it's just a lover's quarrel.
It sure is. I love Viago's blade costume. Although Deacon shoots it down. It's like, he's a vampire hunter. It's inappropriate. It's so funny.
It's such a great, like, again, you talk about those little character moments, and I just love that Viago is the one who goes for that.
Yeah.
That he thinks that it's cool.
Yeah. Hey, he's not wrong, in my opinion.
No, sir.
And Vlad is looking rough, and in what is maybe the best line, he demands that they leave him to do my dark bidding on the internet.
They go, what are you bidding on? Table. It's so ridiculous. You see it coming a mile away, but it's just like it's a piece de resistance.
Yeah, sometimes you're there to see the home runs, baby.
Yeah, that was teed up perfectly.
And Viago and Deacon arrive at the ball, and they run into Nick, Stu, and Jackie, who has been turned into a vampire by Nick.
Yeah, she looks great.
She looks great.
She looks motivated, engaged with life, or I guess death.
The afterlife. And this is when we get the reveal, when the beast Pauline comes on stage, and when Stu and the camera crew are discovered to be human, the party guests like surround them because they're like, we're going to kill and feed on them. There's a lot of great like dialogue between them that you should, I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, sitting here being like, do you remember this line is not nearly as good. So
I really hope we're providing some sort of some information along the way, other than me like every 5 minutes being like, this movie is perfect. I would like the record to show that this movie is perfect. Yes.
At the very least, if you have not seen this movie, you should really go and watch it.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Stop this podcast, go watch, and then come back, re-listen to the whole damn thing once you've seen it.
Exactly. Double listen. Twice.
This is when Vladislav arrives in a delightfully flamboyant style, and he gets into this fight with Pauline's new boyfriend, Julian. And
I forgot that his name was Julian.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's so fun. It's such a fun fight scene, and Vlad is on the ropes when Savior Stu, impales Julian on the flagpole.
Friggin' hero.
And the vampires and the camera crew escape the ball. Only to stumble.
What is Julian again? Is he a warlock?
Yeah, I think he is. Cool. He looks bad. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he looks like a frog warlock. I don't know.
Yeah. There's something right going on there.
Yeah, magic.
But as they escape, they run right into this pack of werewolves again, chaining them up. And I know that I just said that the other line was my favorite line, but my actual favorite line is Rhys Darby saying, "Fuck off to a tree."
Yes.
The simplicity just kills me.
Yeah, the simplicity and the urgency. There's just something about him. He plays that character to a T. This guy who's watching out over his pack. He is the alpha. He
sure is, as he mentions many times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this distraction of the vampires prevents them from getting chained up in time, and they transform under the full moon. One of the cameramen is ripped in half by a werewolf, and Stu, ripped to Stu, viciously mauled, The vampires are sure that he's dead, and they run away, and they grieve, and Deacon and Nick get a chance to connect here in their sorrow.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's interesting from a meta perspective to be like, those are the much more like emo style vampires who sort of wallow in the misery of eternal life and how it's really a curse. And, and so the fact that they're the two who kind of connect over this sorrow, I think is interesting.
Dude, it's I love that moment. It's funny. He has that whole monologue there, Deacon. And in the middle, there's probably like the wettest noodle of a joke in the whole movie, which is something about like crackers. You could be making a mask out of crackers and ducks. And it's such a dud, but the emotion of that moment, it almost feels like a zinger would have. I feel like it was a low-hanging fruit on purpose to make the emotion land. Anyways, that whole scene again, it just like
it also feels in line with his character. Like Deacon is very self-serious. Like he takes himself very, very seriously, and so the idea of him like trying to like put like a joke in there, like Deacon is he's not the jokester. These guys are so funny because they're put into these weird situations. They are not like funny themselves, really. They're not like telling jokes the whole time.
Yeah. They're striving for acceptance. The same as us all.
Indeed. And they connect, and an indeterminate amount of time passes. We don't know exactly how long it's been, but Nick leaves a voicemail with the vampire saying that he has a surprise that will blow them away.
Reveal.
He returns to the flat with Stu in tow. What a delight. It's so great to see him again.
What a delight. A little extra hair.
Yeah.
A little extra hair.
I love that Deacon answers the doorbell. Or the knocking or whatever it is. And he's so thrilled to see Stu there, and he like greets him with a big hug. And they're like, "Oh, your scars are so cool." Like he has like these visible scars all over his face. And we see behind Stu, the werewolves, and it's revealed that he survived the attack and is now transformed into a werewolf. And you get this great coming together where Stu and Nick's banishment is rescinded. Which is nice. Good for Nick.
Oh, dude, the amount of, like, the little chitter-chatter between the two groups, like, the little digs that they throw at each other as they're, like, you know, trying to be civil and it's, like, kind of awkward because they, you know, they've been these two rival gangs. It's just, like, they've taken these two friggin' werewolves and vampires and they just made it the most human thing in the most, like, rural way, it feels like.
This is the underworld we deserved.
Yeah. Give me some of this emotion. Give me some of this vulnerability.
They have a nice party to celebrate Stu's recovery. We also see that Viago has reconnected with Catherine, as you mentioned, who he has turned into a vampire, and they're dating again, despite the fact that he is 4 times her age. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what people will say about him being a cradle snatcher.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's very sweet.
And she even gets, I can't remember what her line is, but it's really, again, it like lends itself, like it just did nothing but added another smile on my face. I was glad to see that she, after all this time of like building her up, I was glad that character got a chance to say her piece.
Absolutely.
As small as it was, but it was just a nice moment, like to see those two thrown up against one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And this transitions into the credits, which have additional scenes, including revealing that Vlad is in fact back with Pauline, repeating the cycle. And that
what are they doing? Are they fighting on the wall?
They're tussling.
Okay, cool.
We also see that Jackie has made her husband her familiar. Which is really great.
Yeah. She does it with an iron fist.
I love you, but I am your master. It's great.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
And then finally you get the post-credits scene that shows Deacon attempting to hypnotize the audience into forgetting that the film ever happened. And boy, oh boy, it's just so great. I mean, in addition to the aforementioned 2 spin-off shows, this is supposedly getting a sequel called Werewolves.
Yeah.
I got this quote, however, from Taika that said, Werewolves is the film that Jermaine and I keep pretending that we're making. Every couple of years we say, we're making this new film called Werewolves, which follows the werewolves from the film. But then he goes on to say, I feel bad to even mention it now because we keep saying it, but it's like a dad saying, yeah, I'll be home for Christmas. And I suppose we're just two dads out on the road enjoying our lives and going, we're not coming home for Christmas.
Oh no. Well, I hope they do eventually.
Well, yeah. So he says, we'll send a postcard. It's not like we don't want to come home for Christmas. We would like nothing more, but we have a lot of shit going on. When are you going to die? Do you have a deadline before your death? I guarantee it before then. 5 years? 10 years? It took us 7 years to write the first film, so you do the math. This is a sad thing to say. So that's the end of his quote, which it is a sad thing to say, but I also can appreciate the honesty of him being like, look, don't hang all your hopes on this. So who knows what'll actually happen in terms of getting that sequel.
Yeah, I can appreciate the honesty, but I get frustrated with, there's just so many filmmakers who it seems like they get, it feels like it used to be the rule, I always feel like that the word on the street or whatever was like one for them, one for you, one for that. And at least with Taika, it's like, all right, come back over. I have loved what he's done. I'm not offended by Marvel or Disney films, but they're not my first stop.
No, hey, and we've reached now the point of the show, Glenn, where we sum up why exactly that is. The best horror movie ever made. We put sort of a cap on it. So I'll let you start us off.
I mean, my God, we've already touched on the fact that I've had a damaged relationship with the scary films. So it's kind of like this was, like I said, Let the Right One In kind of brought me back in, but it's like, boy, oh boy, it just, what we do in the shadows really just brings so like it hooks a friggin' electricity up to my brain in terms of the possibilities in terms of genre filmmaking. Yeah. Like I hate to be, but it's like for something to just hit on every level and in so many different ways, it really I know it was the bedrock. It wasn't. I didn't watch that film and then the next day I go, oh, I'm going to make a vampire film. It was like, I think it was like 2 years later, but it was like Let the Right One In and this I know are part of that bedrock of like, damn, vampires are cool. Yeah. It's like you can there's an interesting dynamic there that you can really it pairs differently with a lot of different types of people, and so that's been something that I've been having a lot of fun in experimenting and playing with on my end, and I guess that's my big reason why I love it so much is that they play with it, but it never feels like they're dicking around.
I totally agree. To me, this is the best horror movie ever made because not only is it hysterically funny, but they clearly love horror too. It is so entrenched in the tropes and misfires and delights of horror movies and of vampire movies in particular. And the fact that it has all these homages to other films just kind of packed into the background, like we said, with the Let the Right One In, and that it has this sort of meta commentary running through it the whole time that is acknowledged but not forced down your throat like a lot of movies with a meta commentary do.
Yeah, sure.
It manages to do all this while also being a terrifically funny movie that is written, starring, and directed by the same person, and it didn't pull his attention in any one way because, sometimes it can be hard. I was just reading about Psycho 3 and how Anthony Perkins is truly incredible. I think that Norman Bates is one of the greatest horror performances of all time. And I think that he's really great in Psycho 2 as well. But
I've never seen 3.
He directs it as well, and there's just something that it feels like he's pulled away from his acting performance because he's focused on directing.
Dude, I did it once back when I was an actor. I got a little bit of funding for a short, and I starred in it and directed it. And it was this crazy, it was super ambitious. a lot of action. And anyways, it was a terrible experience, you know, because you're the director. So it's like, you know, you really got to depend on your scene mates to kind of like, to just, I don't know, you got to depend on them, and you got to depend on your bullshit on it, or
absolutely.
You know,
it's remarkable that he was able to do this, and that they were able to find a balance between improv and what was written, especially today. It's very easy to tell when they just let the camera run a lot of the time and are like, okay, give us something snappy here. And this doesn't have that feel. The fact that we talked several times about, do you think this was improvised or written? That speaks to the level that not only the performances are on, but that the writing was on, that they're able to sort of function at that level. And so for all of these reasons, that makes this the best horror movie ever made. Glenn, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, dude. This was so much fun. Please tell the people where they can find your stuff, where they should be looking out for Teething.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Teething right now is making the festival rounds. We've got a few really fun fests coming up. People can find us at teethingfilm.com and also on Instagram at teethingfilm. We just recently added a bunch of like behind the scenes. We redid our like Instagram so that it's it was my attempt to make it a snazzy landing spot for, you know, for people who, I guess, stumble upon us on the internet. But so we're currently writing the fourth draft of the feature. And then once that's done, we're going to be trying to get it made.
Well, I hope that you have good luck with that, because I watched the trailer and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So
I'll send you the short, man.
Awesome. Can't wait to watch it. And
cool.
As far as my plugs, you can find me on Twitter at littlehorrorphl. That's also the website, www.littlehorrorphl.com. And we just launched a Patreon recently. So if you are loving the show and you're like, hey, I wish that George wasn't losing money on it, then you can support us at the Patreon.
What a concept.
Yeah. There's three tiers. There's one to just support the show, but there's also tiers where you can get early and ad-free versions of the show, and even bonus content like commentaries, bonus episodes, and all kinds of jazz. So throw us a bone, folks. And the only other thing is leave us a rating and a review on iTunes if you would be so kind, because it helps new people find the show. And that is pretty much it for me. Glenn, thanks again, man. And
thank you.
Yeah,
this was a pleasure. It was such a fun like homework assignment to like sit down and like watch a film and pay attention.
Yeah. Hey, it's not always easy these days, so I appreciate you doing it. And everyone out there, have a good one.
Peace and love, brother.
Yeah, peace and love to you as well.
Peace and love.